Welcome to Weight Loss and Wellness for Real, the podcast where people like you get the practical solutions and support you need to permanently lose the physical and mental weight so you can feel better and live the life you want in the body and mind you want. If you're looking to overcome your stress eating, overeating, binging behaviors, and move to a place of freedom with food and your body, you're in the right place. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here and for listening. I really do appreciate all of you who listen to this podcast. It continues to grow, and that's really exciting. And that's also because of those of you who are listening, have subscribed. And if you haven't subscribed, it's free. Just hit the subscribe button from whatever platform you're listening to. When you subscribe, it helps all the algorithms so that other people can find this podcast more quickly. And that is how it continues to grow. And that's how I continue to put an episode out every week. I also appreciate you all listening to the marketing, the advertising that goes on in this podcast. I know that's hard to listen to sometimes. Remember, you can always fast forward, but I do appreciate you listening and supporting the sponsors who support me. It's another reason I can keep an episode coming out every week. And also, especially to those of you who I'm going to call you Patreons of the podcast who, donate money every month to keep this podcast going. And if you are interested in doing that, if you find value in this and you would like to support the podcast, there is a link below the episode description from whatever platform you're listening to that you can click, and it'll take you right where you need to go. And for as little as 99 cents a month, and I think up from there, but anything really does help. So if you're finding value and that's something you'd like to contribute to, if you'd like to be a Patreon of the podcast, take a moment to do that. And thank you. Okay, so today we're going to dive into a topic that is a little sensitive, really challenging for many of us. I know it is for me, and that is weight gain. It's not an easy subject to talk about, but it is an essential one. Because there's lots of times where, we're on track, we're doing our thing, we're seeing some results, and then all of a sudden, boom, something happens. Travel, company, just falling off the rails because things have been stressful, or just because we're just tired of it. We're tired of what we've been eating. And so then, a week goes by, a couple weeks go by, a month goes by, and we've gained some pounds. And then once we see that weight gain, there can be so much defeat that takes place that we just kind of say, screw it, and give up. And then, eventually down the road, I don't know, swimsuit season's coming around or something, and now we're motivated again to, try to drop the weight. And so we want to talk about when we do gain weight, because listen, it's going to happen. If you are dieting, if you are trying to lose weight, at some point you are going to put on some weight, even if it's a pound or two, and you're going to get that sense of defeat. And we want to talk about what to do when you do gain some weight, how to handle that, how to take it back off, and how to keep moving forward. So keep listening. We'll get there. I wanted to tell you about a company I recently used and that you may be interested in using as well. It is called 5 Strands, 5 the number, and then STRANDS, 5 Strands, and it is a test to learn about food intolerances, environmental intolerances, and it can give you lots of really good information on how your body is currently responding to your diet. So it can identify food or environmental intolerances, and then you can kind of temporarily remove these things from your diet and make lifestyle decisions around that in order to reduce inflammation, to feel a bit better. This isn't about allergy testing. This isn't the same if you were to go get allergy testing through blood. This is simply about a different process they use that help to identify not allergies, but simple intolerances to foods that you currently may be eating and things in your environment. And then once you have that knowledge, the idea is you can go into an elimination diet and take all those things out at once. Versus if any of you have done an elimination diet before, when you're trying to figure out what's working for you, what's not, it may be something like you take out all dairy, you have to wait 4 weeks to see how you respond, then you take out another thing, so it's just this really long process of trying to figure those things out. This is just a really quick, simple, easy way to get that information and eliminate all those things at once. And then the idea is you do slowly add them back in once your body, the inflammation has calmed down, your body's ready to respond to them again. So this isn't about eliminating these foods forever and always. It's simply about taking them out for a time period to really optimize your health, maybe even lose some weight, and then slowly adding them back in. And the test is so easy because you just send in some strands of hair, hence the name of the company, 5 strands. You just send in some hair, you get results back within 5 to 7 days. The other reason I, when asked, agreed to work with this company was because their customer service was so amazing. Any questions you have, anything like that, they are just friendly, very knowledgeable. I just really, really appreciated this to me was like old school customer service. So they're a great company. And this sort of testing can just give you that idea of, okay, these are the things I'm going to try to cut out. And we'll see, trying to optimize feeling good, all that sort of stuff. And my own personal thing with this is I was noticing that I was having just some cues and feedback going on from my body with some regular things I had been eating where I had never had those negative cues and feedback before. And so I knew something was going on, and that's why I got into taking this test. And what was really interesting is some things came back that I knew would come back. Like I've always known dairy. I do not do well with dairy. I know I don't do well with eggs, things like that. But I really found some of the results fascinating. Like there were certain proteins that I was used to eating every single day that I'm highly right now currently in my lifestyle intolerant to, and other proteins that were just fine. So that helped me adjust to what I'm eating right now. Another thing that was really interesting is I always thought I was really intolerant to red wine, but was fine with all clear alcohol like vodka, all that kind of stuff. And actually, according to this, all clear alcohol is not good, but I am totally cool with red wine. So things like that were really, really fascinating to me, and also just helped me create sort of this elimination diet plan for about 6 weeks that I'll be doing, and just gave me all the information in one shot. So I highly, highly recommend them if you're looking to optimize your health. It's a quick and easy test to just get more information. I really do hope you give it a try. I just believe more knowledge about our bodies and how they are working is such a key in gaining that optimal health. So if you want to give them a try, you can head over to 5strands.com. Again, it's the number 5 and then STRANDS.com. And when you go to checkout, put in my name, Heather Heinen, HEYNEN, and you're going to get a nice discount. So if we speak specifically to binge eating, many of us who've experienced binge eating, find ourselves in that cycle of binge eating, and weight gain really becomes a reality for those of us that we really have to face. But obviously, if we have a season of overeating, we're also going to gain that weight. And some of us may experience consistent weight gain. Others of us might find ourselves kind of fluctuating, especially between binges and if you restrict at all. So if you're a binge and restrictor, often there would be weight gain and then weight loss and then weight gain and then weight loss. And a lot of us just have that experience. If we're yo-yo dieters, even, if we're not bingers, we're yo-yo dieters, our weight constantly bounces up and down. And for me, I was definitely a bouncer for years. I would fluctuate within about, probably 10 to 15 pounds, which I'm only 5'2" on a good day, probably about 5'1.5". So for my body, that's actually quite a bunch of weight. And While some, may have noticed the changes in my weight, no one ever made any direct comments about it. But I do know that's not the case for everyone. I've heard stories about how parents, moms, dads, or other family members might make comments about a person's weight, about your weight. And that causes a lot of feelings of hurt and shame if you have gained weight. And the truth is, when it comes to changes in our weight, we often tend to feel more sensitive and embarrassed than with other aspects of our appearance. So we may not have drama or shame attached to our hair color, our makeup, our clothes, but we do when it comes to our weight. And, that really boils down to, you all know this, how we think about it, right? So how we think about our weight, how we think about if we've gained weight. So in my case, I used to be, pretty frustrated and embarrassed about when I would gain weight. Not necessarily because of how my body looked, but because of the reasons behind it, right? I would be angry that my binge eating behavior had led me there. And that anger would only fuel, more negative thinking about binging itself, about me. And why couldn't I get it under control? Why couldn't I just keep the weight off for good? All those kinds of things that I'm sure many of you have had the same thoughts as well. And it's really crucial to remember that weight gain in itself is not the problem. It is our thoughts that create the emotions we experience. So I talked in the intro that often, when we gain weight, we feel defeated. And that defeat is, that is the one feeling I really try to help my clients stay out of as much as possible, because defeat is really hard. Defeat is where we give up. And then once we give up, we're not on that road to getting to where we want to be again. And so, some people, back to, so it is how we think about the weight gain that creates that emotion of defeat or whatever emotions we're experiencing that moment. And when some people, some people who gain weight might actually be happy because it aligns with their goals, right? So there are some people trying to put on muscle or whatever it is, and others might not be super bothered by it. The difference really lies in how each of us thinks about our weight gain. And one of the biggest challenges we face is worrying about what other people will think of our weight gain. We become fixated on their potential thoughts and judgments. However, what we often forget is that we are projecting our own thoughts onto others. We don't truly know what they think. And even if they were to express an opinion, their words don't have to hold the power to make us feel anything without our consent. I've had clients share stories about how they feared other people's reactions to their weight gain, thinking that others would see through them and maybe even uncover their overeating or their binge eating struggles. However, these fears were just projections of their own thoughts and judgments about themselves. So whatever, projection is whatever you are thinking about yourself, and might even be subconscious. You might not even know you're thinking about, but it might be subconsciously there in the background. We often project that onto other people, believing they're thinking that thing about me. In reality, most people are thinking about themselves. Heads up, FYI, people don't often have a clue about, what's going on with you. Even maybe that you gain the weight, but they usually are so focused. People are focused on themselves. And there are judgmental people. Yes, there are. But even if there are, that's not something you can know is actually taking place in their head. So I'm not sure why we would bother with that. People often don't have a clue on a practical sense about what caused the weight gain. And if they do, their thoughts might be far from the judgments that we're fearing. So blaming ourselves or others for weight gain is not productive. Constantly berating ourselves, shaming ourselves only leads to feeling bad, to feeling that defeat, and to feeling stuck in negative actions. So the key here, if you've gained weight, is to shift your mindset and focus on the future. Remember, we've talked in the past, different episodes about future self, rather than dwelling on the past. So simple acceptance and responsibility are crucial. So owning your actions, right? And then accepting, yep, this is where I'm at. You don't have to like it, but you got to get a little neutral about it. This is just where I'm at. This is what happened. Stick to the facts. Once we stop the blame game, we can create a plan for a better future. And that is really key. If you really want to get the results that you want to get, you got to stop blaming, and you just got to get into that acceptance so that you can get a little neutral, so the defeat can lessen, and so that a plan can be made to make changes in the future. And also just remember, your weight does not determine your worth or your lovability. It is your thoughts that dictate how you feel about yourself, not other people's opinions. So really think about starting to choose acceptance of where we are now and taking responsibility and ownership for what we did and what we will do moving forward. If you can work on stopping allowing other people's words to dictate how you feel, it's your new thinking and belief in your capacity for change that will make the difference. So if make a decision, I'm not going to allow other people's words to dictate how I feel. And if I make a decision that I'm going to believe in my capacity for change and that I can make a difference in myself and the habits and the things that I'm doing. So really embracing the fact that you can take control of your thoughts, because you can. And if you don't think you can, listen to past episodes. It's included in almost every episode on how this works. We can take control of our thoughts, and we can choose to think in a way about ourselves, about our journey, and about our potential for change that actually creates it. So stopping that negativity, stopping that shame, instead focusing on acceptance of ourselves, belief in ourselves, and reminding ourselves that we are worthy just because we are here, we are deserving, and that you are beautiful just as you are. You really have the power to shape your reality through your thoughts. Okay, so making a commitment of letting go of the past and focusing on really the future when there has been some weight gain. You really want to practice thinking in a way to create belief in your ability to change and to take action to create the life you want for yourself. If you can practice thinking thoughts where you feel willing to continue to move forward with your goals, that willingness, that is what creates momentum and allows you to shift behaviors. Okay, so let's share a couple practical strategies to help you shift your mindset and overcome the challenges of weight gain. It's really important to remember that every journey has its ups and downs. I always think about, 1/3 of our life is going to be negative, downs, bad feelings, all those things. 1/3 is pretty neutral, and 1/3 is joyful and happy. And that is just life. We don't need to hold these expectations, and you don't want to, by the way, because this will end in defeat. Expectations that you always need to be happy, or that, you have to always be perfect. All those things, because it's not going to happen. That's just reality. There's going to be 1/3 of the time things are neutral, and 1/3 of the time things are really crappy. So just acceptance that is how life goes really takes the struggle out of it, which then gives you more energy and more momentum to actually engage in the actions you need to engage in. Also, and we talk about this a lot, but practicing being compassionate with yourself during times of weight gain, and to avoid that self-criticism, that shaming, really practicing, even if it's uncomfortable, practicing talking to yourself in a compassionate way, compassionate tone, and saying things to yourself that are kind and loving. Again, I always think about, if you don't know how to do this, then talk to yourself like you would your best friend. Think of your best friend who has gained some weight and is feeling this way. What would you say to her or him to really encourage this person? You're not going to shame them. You're not going to say, well, that's your own fault. Too bad. You're going to be compassionate. You're going to say, oh, that's so hard. I bet that's really difficult, but I know that you can do this. You're going to be encouraging. So that's how you want to talk to yourself. Other thing you can do here is focus on your achievements and the positive steps that you're taking towards healing and growth. Really celebrate your progress, no matter how small it may seem. So you've gained some weight, but but maybe you've stuck with drinking your water during that whole time, right? Really celebrate that. Or maybe you've stuck with getting movement in a few times a week. Really celebrate that. Tell yourself how awesome it is you've been able to stick with that. When you celebrate yourself, that actually creates more energy for you to move forward with more difficult behaviors, things you want to change. So it's really important to celebrate yourself, all the little wins, think on them, write about them. I mean, think about it right now. If you can think about just 1 or 2 wins that you have had, and if you sit with that for a moment, think about how that feels in your body. What are your feelings? It is lighter, it's less tension, and that's what allows us to maintain more energy so that we can engage in the behaviors that are maybe a little bit more difficult for us. Each step forward, each little step forward really is a victory. Okay, another thing, surround yourself with supportive and understanding individuals or a coach who can provide encouragement and who can empathize with you, validate you. Share your thoughts and feelings with those you trust. And remember that you don't have to go through this journey alone. That little support system, even if it's just one other person, can really go a long way to keep you or get you back on track. Also, practicing self-acceptance and again, self-compassion. Remember that weight gain does not define your worth as a person. It doesn't. Treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding, again, that you would offer a loved one facing similar challenges. Mindfulness and self-awareness are really powerful tools in this process. Take time to check in with yourself regularly. Observe your thoughts. Remember, be that observer of your thoughts and emotion without judgment, and then gently redirect negative thinking patterns towards ones that are more useful and helpful for where you're trying to go. Building that positive relationship with yourself is vital for transforming your self-image and embracing your journey. And that's, how we create relationship with ourselves is how we talk to ourselves, how we treat ourselves. So you really want to build that healthy relationship with yourself, because that relationship with ourselves, when it is healthy, is what allows us to transform us, to make the changes we want to make, no matter what they are in life, beyond weight loss. And then consider seeking support from a therapist or a counselor, or a coach, like I said, who specializes in binge eating and body image issues and weight gain, weight loss. That other person is outside you, so they can often see things that you can't see, and they can provide really valuable insights and guidance tailored to your unique needs, because we are all different after all. And finally, being patient with yourself and recognize that change takes time. It is okay and normal and inevitable that you will stumble along the way. What matters most is your commitment to growth, commitment to your goal, commitment to change, and the belief that you are capable of overcoming this challenge. Okay, that's it for now. Thank you for listening. Just remember, you do have the strength and resilience within you, even if you don't think you do. You do, to overcome any challenges. I believe in you. I want you to believe in you, and keep moving forward. Okay, take care, and we will talk soon. Did you know you can find a lot more help from me on my website? Go to heatherheynen.com. Heynen is spelled Heynen, and get in touch with questions on all things I offer, like online courses for overeating, weight loss, goal attainment, and also my coaching and counseling services. Just a reminder that this podcast represents my own opinions. The content here should not be taken as medical advice. The content here is for educational and informational purposes only. Please consult your doctor or healthcare professional for any individual medical questions you may have.